When it comes to gathering survey accurate data out in the field for your drone maps and models, having all these different devices can sometimes get convoluted. And I'm talking about the different apps, the different devices, the different drones, even the different GNSS receivers that you have to use to ensure that you're getting that high accuracy. And if any of these systems have issues out in the field, well, you pretty much lost the data for the day. So what if there was a simple solution that pretty much simplified all of this into basically 3 simple steps, 1 app, and 1 easy to follow workflow? And I think that solution might be right here, so stay tuned to learn more. Hey guys, Dylan Gorman here. Welcome back to another video. For those of you who don't know who I am, I've been a commercial drone pilot for the last 6+ years, primarily focusing on drone mapping and photogrammetry. And as you can see in front of you here, this is Wingtra's brand new unified solution for achieving centimeter accuracy on all of your maps that you create. Now, the WingtraOne Gen II has been around for some time. Yes, there is an enhanced camera there, Map 61 megapixel full frame camera that you can now put into their Gen 2 VTOL systems. But what I have beside me here is their Wingtra Ground Kit. Now, everything is all powered by their new Wingtra Cloud, meaning you only need 1 software application to interact with not only the drone, but also these GNSS receivers here. Now, Wingtra has partnered up with MLID, so these are 2 MLID Reach RS3s that are getting you all of these different constellations that you can talk to be able to get that centimeter level accuracy in, well, the data logging that you do with the base and rover here, alongside with the PPK processing that happens with the system itself. Now, the star player here is Wingtra Cloud. Like we talked about in the intro of this video, typically going out and doing data collection on really any project site requires a multitude of different software, different pieces of hardware that are made from different manufacturers and don't necessarily talk to each other. So, there's different protocols that you have to do. There's different workflows that you have to get to make sure that they all work and sync and at least work with each other so that you can get the desired results in the end. Whereas with what Wingtra has come up with, specifically their Wingtra Cloud that now interacts directly with the drone, and their Wingtra Ground Kit just makes everything pretty much like a 3 or 4 step process, which we're actually about to do out here in the field very shortly. But some key characteristics just to get that out of the way: the WingtraOne Gen II with their mapping payloads can get you about 60 minutes of flight time. You can pretty much cover about 1,200 acres on one flight at 400 feet, which is the legal altitude here in the US. And then obviously the MLID Reach RS3, these are fantastic GNSS receivers. Yes, you get 22 hours of battery life in it, but again, the entire process has been made to be a 3-4 step, basically clicking some prompts on the screen and collecting that centimeter level accuracy out in the field. Now, rather than me just talking all about this, let's actually see how this works in action on a real project site that I've been doing for one of my clients. So every great drone mapping project starts with the mission planning. You can either do this at the comfort of your computer back at the office, or you can do this live out in the field. Now, if you're gonna do this live out in the field with the Wingtra Cloud app, I do recommend having a hotspot on. In my vehicle here, I do have a hotspot that I am connected so that I can see the satellite imagery of the area. But again, you can do this in the comfort of your office, plan it on the Wingtra Cloud app there, and then make sure that you download the actual mission plan to your device here. But I'm gonna show you just a full, raw, step-by-step workflow of how you can simply do this from anywhere. Here on the device, I am going to make sure that I am on the Sites tab, and we're gonna click on New Site. For the location, we can either just type an address of where we're at, or we can just zoom in here on the actual map itself. So I am here in the state of Florida, and I'm actually at one of my client's project sites. As soon as we start zooming into the map here, we'll notice that a brand new site area pops up. And what I want to make sure is that with the site area that I select, that I encompass the actual area that I'm gonna be flying, alongside I'm gonna be setting up one of my base stations up on a known point. So once I have this site area, I'm gonna give it a name. Once we have the site name selected and the area defined, we're gonna click on the next, and it's gonna take us over to the coordinate system page. On the coordinate system page, because it has GPS on this device here and I'm also connected to the internet, it realized where I'm at and suggested a coordinate system for me to use, both the horizontal and the vertical. And as we can see, it's using NAD 83, 2011 Florida West US Survey feet. And then for my vertical, it's using NAVD 88 height US Survey feet with the Geoid 18 model. And this is exactly what I want to use for my actual project site. From there, we're gonna click on Save New Site. Great, so now we need to create an actual flight plan for the site they're gonna be flying. On here, we can either import one from a KML or a KMZ. Here, we're just gonna create our own flight plan. So we'll click Create Flight. I'm gonna give this a name. We're just gonna call this Apollo, and I usually like to give it a date. Excellent, so scrolling down on this page, we have the site name. And for the camera, we're gonna be using the 61 megapixel camera that we talked about a little bit earlier on, but we also have the option to choose some other different camera options here. So depending on the payload, it's gonna gather your data based off of, well, the payload that you have selected. So here we're gonna be using the MAP 61, and I am the pilot for this flight. So we'll click on Create. Excellent. So because I'm actually already here on site, it can see exactly where I'm at. The first thing that I want to do is create a takeoff zone. So I am just going to create the takeoff right next to me. And it's okay if this is not exactly where it's going to be, because once we actually go through the flight check itself, it's gonna update its position. So this will just be a rough takeoff and landing point that we want it to go from. I'm actually gonna open up this side panel here with these two arrows. And for the takeoff, I'm gonna go into the settings, and I'm just gonna change my transition direction so that it's more so on my actual project site itself. As for this transition height, this basically determines how high the drone will go first before it actually goes to its first waypoint. This is so that you can ensure that no matter where you take off from, you're not going to run into any obstruction. It's actually a really nice feature built directly into the Wingtra Cloud mission planning app here. Now for this geo barrier, if I click on it and I actually zoom out, we can see this massive circular radius that we can see it's 1200 meters. If I wanted to make it smaller, I can. Let's say I made it 600 meters. And I updated it, we can see it now made it smaller. I need to make it a little bit bigger because the geo barrier actually cuts off where my mission plan is gonna be. So I will keep this at a default of 1200 meters. You can increase this if you need, but everything else is totally fine here. Now we actually need to create our flight area. So we're gonna click this little area tool here, and we'll just start in creating 4 different waypoints. You can add as many as you want. Once you're done, you're gonna click on the check mark, and now it has created the actual mission plan itself. If you need to alter the area, just click on where it says A1 for the area 1, and then you have your little waypoint icons that you can move around to redefine your flight area. So I'm just gonna make sure that I fully encompass this entire site here. In terms of the height above the ground, I actually want to fly at 70 meters. In terms of the flight direction, I actually want it to be parallel. So I'm gonna change this to 90 degrees. We'll hit update, and there we go. So now it's actually going to take about 15 minutes and about under 300 photos, which that's actually pretty impressive. This entire site here is roughly about 100 acres in total size. Obviously, we're gonna gather a little bit more just based off of the flight plan here, but within 15 minutes, that's honestly kind of incredible at how little time it's gonna take to gather this entire site here. Once we're happy with that and we're satisfied, we're gonna click Save, and we're just gonna click Save and Exit. Because now what we need to do is we actually need to go to where we're gonna set up the first base station. We're gonna set it on an NGS monument. There's one about 1.5 miles away from here. So let me go meet you over there and show you how to get this next process done. Now that we made it to the actual NGS monument, we're gonna be setting up one of the base stations on this point right here. So on the Wingtra Cloud app, we can now click this Start Flight, and it is now going to set us up onto this site here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna click this Base Setup. We're gonna do a known point here. And I've already inputted the known points for this exact monument right here. Because we're using the Florida West US Survey feet, I made sure to input the easting, northing, and height figures for this exact point right here. Now, what we actually need to do is we need to go and get the base station itself and level it out on this point. So let me grab that and let me show you exactly how to do that right here. The first thing that we're gonna do is we're going to turn on the actual MLID receiver itself. So we're just gonna press and hold on this button here. There's some white lights that pop up. Once they fully light up, you gotta wait about like 5 to 7 seconds. The receiver is now booting up. Now what we're gonna do is we're going to spread out each one of these legs here, and we're gonna make sure that this point right here goes into this divot. Now that the point is on the divot, we actually now need to get the bubble to be level on here. So by using these screws here, we can level this out.
we can bring some of these other areas down a little bit more. And we essentially just want to get this bubble dead center right here. Now back on the controller, we can go ahead and click next. And because we have already connected, there's a little prompt that popped up saying that we are connected to the receiver. We can click on start logging. Excellent. So now we just click on continue. Now that our base station is set up and logging on a known point, we can go to our project site and go and create our actual checkpoints. That's going to get referenced off of this known point right here. From the Wingtra Ground Kit, you're going to want to take one of your aerial targets now and find a relatively flat spot to go ahead and place it in. You'll also get some survey nails to go ahead and secure it in place. So let me go ahead and quickly do that. All right, and then we can now get our other receiver. And same like before, we're gonna wanna make sure that we put this center point right here in the middle of this target. And then we're just gonna want to level out our actual receiver itself, making sure that it is aligned here in the bubble. And then we can go ahead and tighten this down. And then we'll also want to make sure that it's also on. Now, as this boots on, we'll go ahead and grab back our device for Wingtra Cloud, and we're gonna click on the checkpoints here. And then if we go and navigate to where we're positioned right now, we can click on measure checkpoint. It's telling us to basically place this target here in a non-obstructed area. Should be pretty obvious. So we'll click next. And then obviously I have already gone ahead and placed the receiver on top and leveled it out, and it is dead center in the middle of the target. So from here we click on measure and we'll click start measure. So this is going to take measures for the next 30 seconds and average out this point. Once this is done, I'm just gonna do this 4 more times on this site. It does recommend at least a minimum of 2 checkpoints on site, but my typical workflow, I always do 5, which is perfect because you actually get at least 5 of these targets in your kit. So once this is done, I'm gonna quickly go and set these other 4, and then we'll be able to go ahead and get the drone up and running very shortly here. Oh, and by the way, once it creates that checkpoint, it actually throws a little pin on the map to show you exactly where it's at. Same thing if I zoom out, it'll show where our base station is, right? So we can see where the base station is, and then we can also see where our check marks are on the actual map itself, which is pretty cool. So now let me go ahead and place the rest of these checkpoints out on the site, and then we'll go ahead and get this drone up in the air. And now for our third and pretty much final step for doing our data collection is to, well, send our Wingtra off and start collecting data for about 15 minutes on this site. So I've already got the Wingtra set up. I've got batteries plugged in. All I gotta do is just put one more connector in, we're booted on, and then we can continue the rest of our flight on the Wingtra Cloud app. With this connector getting plugged in right now, she booted on, put our cap on. I've already got my lens cover off as well. She sounds like she's ready to go, so let's get back here on the controller. Okay, and now with the drone fully booted on, we can go and click the hardware check here. We'll click on confirm. Then we can click start flap motion. Just gonna check the 2 flaps on the bottom to ensure, well, they're working properly, as that's how the drone is able to navigate through its flight. And then we're going to click confirm on the flight conditions. We'll confirm the flight upload here. And now all that's left is to hit start flight. And now for the next 14 to 15 minutes, the drone is going to conduct its flight. All right, with our Wingtra now landed here, it has now prompted us to turn the system off. It actually already just downloaded the logs locally here to the device. Again, I am connected to the internet, so you don't have to do this process, but it's already uploaded it into the cloud. So now all that's waiting for me to do is go and grab the base station that's sitting on that known point. I'm gonna pull the logs off of it. Again, it's a fully automated process. Let's go get that done right now, and then I'll meet you back in front of my computer at the office to get this processed. All that's left to do now is to connect to our base station and stop the logging. So on the controller screen here, we'll click Stop and Sync. Now it's going to download all the logs directly to the tablet here. And once again, because I do have a hotspot running in my truck, it's actually going to sync everything into the cloud.
Now that I've returned from the field, I already have the Wingtra Cloud application pulled up on my computer here. And actually one of the really nice things is literally all I have to do is just grab the SD card from the drone, which I've already pulled from behind me here and plugged into my computer. Since this was connected to the internet, it actually already uploaded all the logs from the base station that I have right here from out in the field, alongside with all the checkpoints that we gathered out there. So really it's as easy as loading into our project site here, clicking process, clicking on map processing. We're going to click next, and then we're just going to specify a path. So basically just pick the folder from the SD card. And once I have that folder selected, I'm just going to click on upload. We'll click upload, and then just like that, it's going to pull in all of the data. And what you'll notice is, look, there's the base station that we set out into the field. And if I go over to our project site, here are all of the checkpoints that we set out there. Now, what's really cool is we can actually set some of these as some ground control points and some checkpoints. As you saw, there's actually nothing else that I have to do. Everything was synced directly from the Wingtra Cloud app that was on the tablet here onto, well, Wingtra Cloud here on the desktop, because, well, it's all in the cloud. So if I click on the little edit icon here next to the checkpoints and I turn on the use GCPs, I can select a few of these points to be ground control points. And then just like that, we can click next. Perfect. So now all we have to do is, with all the data here, we can see that 3 of these checkpoints are now set as ground control points. We're going to click process. Now all we have to do is just wait for this to upload. I've got a pretty fast internet connection, so this shouldn't take too long. And within 30 to 45 minutes, we'll have a centimeter level accurate map fully processed that we just gathered a little bit earlier from today. So I'll meet you back on here as soon as that's done. We'll take a look at the data, we'll take a look at the report, and we'll take a look at just how simple this entire workflow was from start to finish. And once the data has finished processing, we can now view it here with the status. It now says map instead of processing. If we go ahead and just click on our map here, right out of the gate, we have a basic overview of the quality report. We can actually download a more detailed one that we can actually see right here. We've got 18 different pages that we can sift through to just take a look at the full quality report, as if you would do this in any other photogrammetry processing software. Going back into Wingtra Cloud, you can see that we have pretty good accuracy on this site itself. On here for the input summary, it just tells us, hey, what data was actually inputted into Wingtra Cloud. Again, this entire process was fully automated, from all the data collection that we did out in the field to then literally just uploading the entire project file into Wingtra Cloud. Going and actually looking at the data itself, we can click here where it says view map. And just like that, we are now viewing our full orthomosaic here in Wingtra Cloud. Now, there's actually a few different layers that we can take a look at. On the bottom left-hand corner, we have the layers tab. If we click on it, we have our orthomosaic and our point cloud. So right now we're in the 2D view of just looking at, well, the map that was generated itself. And on it, we can actually see an overlay of where the ground control points are, where the checkpoints are. We can zoom in, we can make your analysis. Again, this is all just being displayed here in the cloud. If you wanted access to all of the files itself, you can go ahead and get access to that by clicking here in the top right-hand corner, opening up this side tray here, and then clicking where it says view files. And then once again here, back in our files, we can download the mesh bundle, we can download the geotags, the DSM, the orthotiff, the point cloud, basically all the data that was generated itself. The one thing that I do really want to highlight within the Wingtra Cloud is the collaborative nature with it. Right, not only does it simplify and automate the entire processing workflow and visualization side of it, but you can actually go ahead and share this to other collaborators on your site. So it's not just you, the pilot or the data collector, that can view this, it's anybody in an organization. And it's not just limited to your organization itself. To share, it's actually really simple. All we have to do is just open up this tab one more time where it says view map here, we click the share button. And right now it's set to restricted, but I can open this up to anyone with the link. They can view, they can comment, they can even get access to all of the files to export and bring that into, again, any application that they would like. right? And what's also great is I can leave quick annotations here. So maybe I want to leave something on the project site trailer here, right? I can click on it and I can leave a comment and say this needs to move, click send. And now we have a comment that is displayed here on the map. So anybody else that has access to this that is also logged in, they can hover over it and see any annotations that were made. Okay, well, maybe we want to look at the actual 3D portion of it. Well, here on, again, if we open up the layers tab here on the bottom left-hand side and click on the point cloud, we are now going to get put into a point cloud viewer. Zooming in, we have our wonderful and highly accurate point cloud that we can move around. You have a lot of versatility in terms of being able to visualize this data here in the cloud, or like I said, you can download everything to your heart's desire and then be able to import it into whatever application you want. But again, the entire purpose of Wingtra Cloud was to simplify the data collection process out in the field, as well as the processing and then the visualizing of it, right? There's no need to bounce between multiple different software. It's just all simplified for you right here. As you saw, it didn't really take that much time. And within a matter of hours from data collection to processing to now viewing it, you have highly accurate data that really any organization is going to love, just the ease of use of it. To close out this video, I do have to say that I am pretty impressed at this entire ecosystem that Wingtra has built out, specifically everything being powered through one simple application. Yes, I have been doing this for a very long time, and working with different software and hardware is fine, but there have been issues where maybe one of the pieces of software, one of the hardware just is not working. Where in this case, because they all talk to each other, because they all operate through one simplified solution, it just makes it a simple 3 or 4 step process to get that survey accurate data, which I think for large engineering firms or even small engineering or surveying firms, for them to be able to basically just pass this off onto almost anybody in their entire firm, where all you have to do is go set the base station, get your check marks, throw the drone up in the air, gather some data, and then just come back to the office and upload it and be done with it. I think that this is going to be a pretty revolutionary product in terms of the scalability factor alongside with it. You don't have to manage multiple subscriptions. You don't have to manage multiple different pieces of hardware from different manufacturers. Everything pretty much comes in this kit that you see right here. Now, if you want to learn more about the Wingtra Ground, the Wingtra Cloud, or even the WingtraOne Gen II system here, be sure to check the links down below. Again, thank you Wingtra for sponsoring this video. Yes, I had a lot of fun making it, but at the same time, I am really partial. I kind of really want this guy right here for some of my projects that I have coming up. So I might have to buy one here soon. But with that being said, if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you want to see more from me in the future, please be sure to subscribe. And I really want to hear your thoughts on this. Is this something that you would put into your workflows? Or what enhancements do you think Wingtra could make to make this maybe be more accessible for others that are, out looking for something like this? I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. But with that being said, I will see you guys in the next one.